AITAH for telling my ex-fiance's parents exactly why we broke up, and I called off the wedding? Sorry, this ended up being kind of long. TL doctor at the bottom. So I met my ex-fiancée Amy when we were both 27. Right off the bat, we hit it off. Pretty early in our relationship, Amy let me know that she had a pretty wild past. She wanted to be honest and upfront with me. I told her I didn't care, but I did have concerns about whether she was actually wanting to settle down, which I kept to myself. She had told me how her past had caused a lot of strain with her parents, but didn't really go into detail. I pushed all that aside and dove in. We had an amazing relationship. Over the years, I grew pretty close to her parents. I spent a lot of time at their house helping her dad with projects. We'd often all three go out to lunch after. They are wonderful people. After dating for about 3 years, I proposed. Amy was ecstatic, but her parents were even more excited. We had what seemed like a fairy tale engagement. Ally was a coworker of Amy's, and they became really close. Ally is one of the kindest and most sincere people that I have ever met. One weekend, Amy's friend, Sarah, invited her on a weekend trip to Vegas. Now, Sarah was not someone I liked. She was a friend from that time in Amy's life who was a very bad influence. She would pressure her to drink, do drugs, hook up, etc. I heard her call me boring multiple times on the phone with Amy and even told her that she should break up with me a couple times. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but Sarah invited Amy's friend Ally, which made me feel a lot better. Ally was a coworker of Amy's, and we all became really good friends over the years. Ally is one of the kindest and most sincere people that I've ever met. They went to a club one night, and some guys were all over them. They invited the girls to their sweet penthouse upstairs where they were throwing an after party. Amy and Ally declined, but Sarah guilt tripped them into going. During the party, Ally was alone and wanted to go back to their room and sleep. She went looking for Sarah and Amy to see if they wanted to leave or let them know she was leaving. She found them in a room. Sarah was hooking up with one guy and Amy was having a threesome with 2 guys. The next morning, Amy begged Ally not to say anything to me and Sarah said it was her fault. When they got back, Ally told me everything right away. To her credit, Amy did not deny any of it. She said she freaked out about getting married and FK'd up. I was crushed, but obviously called off the wedding and broke up on the spot. I had not told many people about what happened except my immediate family. This all happened 6 months ago. I saw Amy's parents at a hardware store a week ago. They expressed how sad they were that we broke up. Her mom, who I was close with, asked me what happened. She didn't think I was the cold feet type and could just cut Amy out of my life. I was so confused, but then kind of awkwardly clarified that when she was partying with Sarah, who they knew all about, she decided to cheat on me with 2 guys. At the same time, they were sad but not surprised. They had hoped she was turning a new leaf. About 2 days later, I got a slew of texts from Amy. She was pissed that I told them and saw it as a way for me to get back at her by turning her parents on her. She said she gave me everything I wanted in the breakup and apologized a million times. It was true. She moved out immediately, worked out canceling wedding plans, etc. It was a clean break, no drama. That said, her parents were super pissed about throwing away our relationship. They told her sister, who Amy always competed with and hated for slut-shaming her constantly. Her parents are pretty well off and gave her sister and my brother-in-law a huge amount of money to get their lives started. They promised the same for Amy, but told her that they are going to just donate it since they don't want to finance her lifestyle. I kind of knew it might happen, but didn't really care. I would have been fine keeping it to myself until I found out she told them that I basically got cold feet and abandoned her. Amy said she always thought I was kind, but it turns out I was a vindictive asshole. TL Drive fiancé cheated on me with 2 guys. I told her parents about it when they asked me months later. I knew it would cause a shitstorm for her and they might cut her off financially, but I wouldn't let her blame me for the breakup. AITAH? AITAH? First comment, NTA. Here's my kind of crude mom advice on this. Did you have to tell mom and dad the truth? No, but you did. You held them in high regard and didn't want to end your relationship with them on a bad note. You valued your own relationship with her parents and ended it with honesty and integrity. You aren't to blame that she chose to be double-barreled like a pig at a pig roast. You aren't to blame that she cheated. You aren't to blame that she has an awful friend. The truthful friend was honest and helped you dodge a bullet. Be thankful for that. She's your ex now. Just block her out of your life and move on. I'm sorry this happened to you. It's not your fault that her bad actions are leading to consequences from her folks. Second comment, NTA. No one has any right to expect anyone else to lie about their behavior or cover it up. I once read that asking someone to keep a secret is asking them to carry your shame. A similar situation was the last straw for one of my friendships years ago. The short version is that Tia had been growing apart already. Then she tried to cheat on her husband, literally under my nose. But I'd known him longer than I had her, though we'd never been one-on-one friends. Also, I'd helped set them up. The evening had started out great, apart from her dressing inappropriately. The venue was a sweater jeans sort of place, and she wore a skimpy dress more appropriate to a nightclub. But whatever floats your boat. After the show, our little group went to a pub for a couple drinks. Then she started moaning about how boring Cimarron life with small children was. I was sympathetic at first, but she was trying to excuse what came next. It turned out she dressed that way to see a guy she knew would be around later, and she propositioned him when I was standing 3 feet away. I never spoke to her again, partly because I refused to keep secrets. I couldn't have looked her husband in the eye, but I didn't want to get in the middle of their issues. I did tell all our mutual friends exactly what happened. If it got back to him, those were the breaks. IDK how things worked out for them. I'm sorry things didn't work out for you, but better you find out now about her than after kids' financial entanglements. Third comment, NTA. If she doesn't want her parents to be told she had a threesome behind her fiance's back and ruined her engagement, then she should never have had a threesome behind her fiance's back and ruined her engagement. At first I thought it was a little unnecessary though, still not an asshole move to tell them, and maybe you could have glossed over the gory details for her parents, but she tried to throw you under the bus for the engagement ending, which was entirely her fault. That's going to cause confusion, and you're going to have to clarify. Basically, on the surface NTA simply because the truth is an absolute defense for solicited invited information about someone by a loved one. Furthermore, FKK that bitch for throwing you under the bus to her parents and FAK that bitch for cheating, but that just goes without saying. Fourth comment, your NTA. I am never one to LT shame someone. If they're not in a committed relationship and just out enjoying their life, as long as they're staying safe, then more power to them. But that was not the case here. Engagement, committed relationship. For her to go on this girl's trip was no big deal. But once she entertained the advances of the guys in the club. Kudos to the friend who actually has morals and told you what happened. And if she didn't want people knowing why you called off the wedding and broke up with her, then she shouldn't have done what she did. Actions have consequences. And you're not out shouting from rooftops, you're responding truthfully when being asked. Fifth comment. Have never asked you that question and the details would have stayed between the two of you. It could have just been, I messed up and betrayed his trust. It is 100% my fault and he did the right thing. This is my burden to live with, and I hate myself for hurting him that way. If she was feeling especially manipulative, she should have asked them for help afterwards so she could get herself back on track, but her throwing you under the bus is why she got outed. Oh no, consequences.